The Kappa family, parents Guy, Gail Garcia Bernal, and Priska Vicky Cripes, and their children Maddox Alexa Swinton, 8 years old, and Trent Nolan River, 6 years old, arrive at a posh resort for a family vacation. Trent befriends a young boy named Idlib, Kalen Jude, after they settle into their rooms, and they do things like ask other resort patrons what their names and jobs are, and Idlib shows Trent a special code to decipher messages. Meanwhile, Guy and Priska discuss how this is just one last trip they wanted to give the kids before they divorce, which is complicated by Priska's stomach tumor. Charles Rufus Sewell, a middle-aged doctor, is having breakfast with his younger vain wife Crystal, Abby Lee, daughter Kara, Kyle Bailey, and his mother Agnes, Kathleen Chaffant. Nearby, a woman named Patricia, Nikki Amuka Bird, is having an epileptic seizure, which Charles assists with, while her husband Jaron, Ken Leung, tries to assist as well. Trent also notices Idlib, as they had planned to meet up later that day, but the resort manager Gustav Hammarsten orders him to leave the area. The Kappas, along with Charles and his family, board a van that transports them to a private beach. Maddox recognizes a rapper, mid-size sedan, Aaron Pierre, who was previously seen with a female companion who went skinny dipping. While the kids play together, the adults relax on the sand. The girls discover old dolls buried in the sand, abandoned by other children. Trent is swimming near a cave when he discovers the body of Brendan's companion, who appears to have drowned. Brendan is suffering from nosebleeds and is equally astounded by the discovery as the adults are. Charles suspects Brendan of wrongdoing, despite the fact that the woman only went for a swim and never returned. Soon after, Agnes begins to experience shortness of breath and dies. Jaron and Patricia arrive at the beach as well, but their transporters have already left. Something strange is happening to the kids as well. Brendan tells the adults that the woman he was with had multiple sclerosis, whereas he has hemophilia, which explains his nosebleeds. Jaron and Patricia speak with Trent and Maddox, who have suddenly matured into pre-teenagers, Trent now played by Luca Faustino Rodriguez, Maddox by Thomasin McKenzie, now played by Michaela Fisher. Several attempts are made to leave the beach by passing through the rocks that separate the beach from the outside world, but all adults who attempt to pass through feel a pounding in their heads before blacking out and ending up back on the beach. They also notice odd things, such as how when Charles slashes Brendan with a knife, the slash mark heals in seconds. Soon after, Brendan discovers that the dead body of the woman he was with has fully decomposed to nothing but bones within hours, leading them to believe that something time-related is going on the beach. Priska's stomach tumor suddenly begins to cause her pain and distress. The adults attempt to assist her, initially feeling around for the tumor and describing it as the size of a golf ball. They then proceed to remove the tumor, which has now grown to the size of a cantaloupe. Priska's stomach cut heals quickly after the procedure. Trent and Kara continue to mature into teenagers, young adults, Trent now played by Alex Wolff, Kara played by Eliza Scanlon. Furthermore, Kara has become 5 months pregnant in a matter of minutes, apparently after having sex with Trent minutes earlier. The adults prepare for the birth, which occurs quickly, but the baby dies after a minute due to inattention. The other adults begin to show more visible signs of aging, but Crystal finds the process much more difficult. Charles begins to lose his mind as a result of schizophrenia, prompting him to stab Brendan to death. While attempting to devise an alternate escape strategy, the others take his weapon. Jaron tries to swim to find a way out because they can't go through the rocks. During this time, Trent and Maddox discover a notebook left by a previous visitor, which contains names and medical conditions. They also notice what appears to be people in the distance watching them. Maddox discusses with Priska whether or not she and Guy are breaking up. Priska confesses to seeing another man. Despite Priska's attempts to explain herself, Maddox is enraged. She goes to the beach, attempting to be strong and find a way out on her own, but she discovers Jaren's body, apparently unconscious and drowned. Patricia has a fatal seizure after seeing his body. Kara then desperately tries to find a way out and begins climbing up the rocks to reach the top, but before she can get there, she too blacks out and falls to her death, leaving Trent devastated. It is now evening. Charles has gone completely insane, and Crystal is also losing her mind due to her rapid aging and declining physical condition. She has grown a calcium hump on her back. Guy is also losing his vision, and Priska is becoming noticeably grayer. Guy and Priska discuss the other man in Priska's life, with Guy admitting that he was aware of him and wished he had done more to keep their marriage together, but he also notes that the other guy is a loser and that she deserves someone better. Charles then begins to attack Guy and Priska, while Crystal attacks Trent and Maddox when they try to look at her. She follows them into the cave, where her body twists and contorts to horrific angles before dying. Priska then slashes Charles with a rusted knife, causing an infection that spreads quickly throughout his body and kills him. The Kappas then congregate at the beach and around the campfire. Guy, who is now elderly, has difficulty speaking and remembering things, but he basically admits to Priska that he still loves her just before he dies. Priska then stands up for a brief moment before collapsing and dying by Guy's side, leaving both children to mourn their parents. Trent and Maddox are now in their 50s in the morning, Trent played by Eamon Elliott, Maddox played by Embeth Davids. Trent brings up a code that Idlib gave him, which he deciphered and figured out means, "My uncle doesn't like the coral." The siblings notice a coral reef nearby and realize it must be their escape route. The two swim out there, but Maddox's clothes become entangled in the coral. When the two do not return, Theo, the van driver who drove the families to the beach, Director M. Night Shyamalan reports to his superiors from his observation post on a cliff overlooking the beach that all members of Trial 73 Inches have died. When Theo returns to the resort and to the lab area, it is revealed that the resort is a front for a medical research team called Warren & Warren, which lures people with medical conditions to the beach in order to conduct clinical trials for life-saving drugs, which are given to them in the cocktails served upon arrival. They are aware that the supernatural beach, possibly powered by the mystical coral, accelerates aging, so they extend the trials to a full day for better results. They believe they cured Patricia's epilepsy because she didn't have a seizure for 8 hours, which is roughly 16 years on the beach. Trent and Maddox, who managed to free themselves from the coral, stop the resort manager and others. That's all, guys. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe the channel. Hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment,